Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going on a Master System retro pickup, but actually we're going to be picking something up for somebody else. Give this a watch and we'll get into it.
Well, it turns out that someone else that Ollie was talking about there was me. Here's the package. And if you haven't seen the video that Ollie posted, we can consider that to be part one of this. So I'm going to put a link in the description and you should go and check out Ollie's little journey to find this game. It's, as he mentioned, the last game in my set, or that I was looking for my primary kind of collection set. An amazing guy to kind of go out of his way to help me in that way, and I'll get more into that in a moment. But beforehand, I suppose I should unbox this. So, Ollie, being a collector, this came well packed and with a lot of tape. But rather amusingly, because it was coming from the UK, I was like, don't want customs if possible. So I marked it as a gift, and there's a birthday note. You know, because if customs did look, it would look more like a birthday gift. So he says, "Happy birthday, Alan. Oh, have a wonderful day and hope you enjoy the present. So please, I found the one you wanted." Well, you sure did, buddy. So, for most people watching this channel, you will know what's in this box. It is the final game that I'm missing towards the Master System set, Buggy Run. That this was going to be the final game, I wouldn't have guessed it, even though it was a rare title all those years ago. But yeah, with this out of the way, I guess I could say,
Yippee! You did it!
thanks, Slippy. Yeah, I did it. I finally have completed my Master System collection, or at least the goals that I had set.
You're becoming more like your father.
Not too sure about that, Peppy. Yeah, I don't think my dad was quite so much into collecting retro video games, but I appreciate the thought. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Buggy Run. This is the final game. Nice enough condition. Little bit of marks on the manual, but at this point, these games go for crazy money. A complete copy with manual. I'm happy with this condition. I will get to the story about this and why condition is important in a little bit. But everything else, like the box art is great, characters in good nick. Super happy to pick it up, and I'm not going to talk about price because, I mean, as kind of was mentioned at the start of this, Ollie obviously did me a great favour in sourcing this and going to find it and sending it out to me and all that. Very much a mates rates type of game, so I don't think it's fair to talk about price. Obviously it wasn't cheap. But when you come to the rare stuff, when you see the retro inflation or the price inflation in retro games, it's not going to be a shock. But yeah, in terms of condition, I missed out on a few copies of this. Years ago, I went to Games Link in Spalding with Retro Bob, and on the Master System forums, or Sega 8-bit forums, there was a tech toy version of this. It was a bit battered up, not in great condition, and it was something like £10 or £15. I passed it up because it wasn't in good enough condition. And I kicked myself for that afterwards. I was like, my goal, right? I wanted a copy of each game that saw a release in Europe or the US, regardless if it was on card format or cartridge format. So to be specific, like a game like Alf, which was only released in the US, I wanted as part of my collection. A game like James Buster Douglas, which is a variant of Heavyweight Champ. No, if I picked it up, I picked it up. Didn't matter. I didn't mind which region it was from, so long as I had a copy. I was not at the time willing to bend the rule and say, well, a tech toy copy will do. But as the prices went nuts, I was kind of thinking, I should have probably just went for that slightly rough copy and be done with it. I did not know that this was going to be so difficult to find for a decent price. Even before that, the very first bundle that I went to get when I got back into kind of collecting for the Master System in a more serious way, I just missed out on a bundle that had this in amongst a load of other games. And I went, no big at the time. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more. It's kind of like haunted me. What's that, like, Rat of Khan thing? It tasks me all these years. Well, no more. You are part of the collection now, boy, and you're staying there, and I will play it, actually, to be honest. It looks like a pretty decent game. But I'm absolutely thrilled, and I just, again, massive thank you to Ollie for going out of his way to help me complete the set. If, for those that don't know, obviously, I'm going to link it in the description, but he's a big, YouTube, Twitter guy in the Master System space. Like, he runs the Master System Challenge every weekend for over the last year. New challenge every single week. Definitely go and get involved in that. It's just for fun. It's just about playing games on the system, trying something different, learning about them. And he said it in his last Master System Challenge video, I think it was. It's about an opportunity to take these off the shelf, put them in the system, and give them a try. There is a lot of times where, hang on a second. The dog, I think, wanted to get in on that. There's a lot of times where we are just get too into collecting and not into actually experiencing these. That's why I said, like, you know what? That's still in pretty good condition. Yeah, there's a bit of a password on the manual. Hey, I can use the password and see what it does. This is still complete. This still, I'm sure, plays absolutely fine, and that's the main thing. So, before I kind of get into where I'm going to go now with my collection, I want to kind of give a few shout outs. Obviously, to Ollie for helping me complete the set here, but also to the people who've helped me get here, because collecting is a journey, and that's the great thing about it. And that's where I'm going to end this video. This video, you're probably going to see, it's going to be very long, unless I can't edit it right, and I might do 2 videos or something like that, but because the end part is going to be all about the journey. Ollie made a comment about, like, jokingly saying, oh, Alan's been collecting for 25 years to get this, and it was like, ha, it's been so long, because in YouTube time, it's been more like 10 years. He was wrong. It's been 30 years, So, to kind of talk about some of the people, just that this is not everyone, so if I've missed someone, apologies. There's Marco, aka Gordman, who helped me with some of the hardest to find stuff. Championship Hockey, Home Alone, Great Soccer, really tough stuff to find, and he helped me out there. Tutti UK, who's a mad collector. We did a trade, I think, at Play in Manchester, Retro Play, whatever that's called. But he was kind of like another person that was really going for massive stuff around the same time as I was going for in my heyday. So it was great to see his stuff. Ninja Bear Hug, another Stewart. Actually, half of my Mega Drive collection is from him. Got a few Master System stuff. Again, top guy. There's a bunch of people on the Sega 8-bit forums. Benny, SMS Matty. Oh God, I'm sure of Tears of Opa, Private Joker. Not too sure if all of these people are still active. There's more. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Electric Adventures on YouTube. So many people that I've done trades with and help source games and stuff like that, that it's just a major thank you to all of those. For me, completing the set is about the interactions as well with all these people and getting to kind of share your passion for a system and for retro gaming and retro collecting. So, in part, this video goes out to them. But anyway, to move on from that, it's also, as I said, this video is going to be a bit long. It's kind of where am I going and all that sort of stuff. So where am I going? I don't know yet. Like, for me, it's not like now that I have this, all of a sudden everything is done. That's it. Case closed on it. No, I'm sure there's gonna be more Master System stuff I want to pick up. Some of my I'm missing a few manuals, things like that. There's variants I would like to pick up. Maybe some Tech Toy stuff, although the way the prices are going there, that might be tough. Who knows? Maybe I'll go nuts and get into some of the Mark III Rescue 1000 stuff. Then there's other systems. You know, I like N64 stuff. I'd love to, you know, beef up my collection there. So there's plenty. You know, collectors don't really ever fully stop. You know, they might change their passion to something else or do other things, but for someone like me, when I've been doing this for so long, it just doesn't go, that's it, I'm done, goodbye. So I'm going this video, something like the finale or the final or something like that. It's not the final, it's not the end. The end never will happen, I think, for me anyway, in terms of retro collecting. Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be more to come in the future. Now, as for the remainder of this video, I did kind of touch upon this. I want this to be, I suppose, my journey through the Master System, or how it kind of come to me in my life. And what got to me was, as I said, when Ollie meant the comment about 25 years, I thought, how long has it really been? And I went, well, you know, I got the Master System Christmas '91, basically. At least I think it was. And it's been over 30 years. But I still have my original games. You know, the original system, the original games, all that sort of stuff are still there. So I never stopped. I never sold. I mean, there were gaps, sometimes very big gaps. But quite fundamentally, my Master System collection has been growing since 1991, over 30 years. And now finally, I have what was my primary target of getting a copy of a game either released in Europe or, you know, America, whichever. So long as it was released in those regions, I have a variant of it. That is kind of crazy. Over 30 years. I mean, it's a long time to do it, but it just shows you can kind of tip away at these things too. And what makes me feel a bit old, I guess, is that when I went, you know, it's 30 years, but it's also spread over 4 decades. 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. And that's where I'm going to go with the rest of this video, or another video if I have to break it apart. But basically, I'm going to go a little bit of a journey. Hey, this is my Master System collection for the 4 decades, what I picked up in those decades. I hope you enjoy. You know, you probably need a cup of tea because I think it's going to be long. Okay, so my whistle-stop tour through my Master System collection is going to start back where it all began in the 90s. And by and large, what you see here is my original set. I was fortunate enough not to sell anything, or, you know, bar 1 or 2 little exceptions for any of my kind of original games. So the Master System console, that is my original Master System console. That awful Batman controller, that is the original controller that I had to use. And I say the original controller that I had to use, not that it came with the system. Of course it came with 2 regular Master System pads, but they both broke. So Batman there on the left, he's the only kind of surviving original controller that I still have today. The box system, yes, that box is new. It's actually in a complete system, everything's in there. That is a much more recent edition. I wanted to get something to kind of get back to where it all started. It is the set that I got, the Sonic the Hedgehog add-on with the second controller and Alex Kidd built in. So I never had Alex Kidd as a kind of a standalone piece. Instead, it was built into my Master System, like, of course, I think a lot of people that started off their collection in the early 90s. And there we go. Hello, Link. Yeah, you're checking the games out? Yep, thanks. And that was Link, and he was checking out Dragon Crystal. But we'll get to Dragon Crystal in a minute. So I've ordered these from left to right in chronological order as to when I got them, starting with Sonic, which in the box came as a loose set. So you got the carton, you got a manual, but you got no box. So a few years later, like in the mid-90s, my uncle actually, you know, found a few friends of theirs were kind of like trading in some stuff, and he managed to, you know, to get a few bits for me, and included was a loose box for Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which was great because it completed my copy. So that actually is original. Next game, the first game I bought myself was Super Kickoff. Kind of interesting choice. You know, I don't have that many sports games throughout my entire collection, at least not ones that I've kind of picked up for like 50 cents, you know, in charity shops and car boots. But this was the very first game that I decided I'm going to buy myself. I saved up 25 Irish pounds back in the day, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I played it loads and loads. Well worth it. I actually think I ended up getting, because I was saving up as a kid, like the last few pounds were all bit in pennies. So when I was actually at the store buying it, it was a local store, they were like, I don't want to count out these pennies. So they gave me like a pound or 2 off, which was nice. I don't know if you can see the next two games. This one here is Outrun. It's because the spines aren't as clear, and it's Dragon Trap, Wonder Boy 3. Get in there. Wonder Boy 3 and Outrun were the next Christmas. So I got the Masters of Christmas. And then the following Christmas, I got Outrun and Wonder Boy 3. My parents actually nearly, when I asked for stuff for Christmas, I wrote my Christmas wish list, as it were. They nearly got Paperboy instead. And they threw it out in a passing mention. I was like, Paperboy? I had said Wonder Boy. So luckily they were able to correct that. Paperboy is a fine game, but Wonder Boy is, in my opinion, best game on the system. So definitely glad that they corrected that. So next up, we have another one that's probably a bit hard to read. Another classic, Shinobi. This one, again, original copy. All of these pretty much are, except for the last few I'll get to. It's a bit of tape where I ripped the thing. But this was a $5. I think a toy store, Tony's, up in Dublin, were selling off their Master System stuff. So I picked that up for a $5, which was great. Moving on. We're going to have to move quickly now. We have Desert Strike. Don't know if I got the receipt for this one here. No, just my cheat code. Some of them I have receipts for. But this was, I think, £13 back in the day. Next one was, I didn't realize that this was kind of an important time. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Same place, the local store that I got Super Kickoff. I think this might have been like 18 at the time. Given that it was technically only released in the US, I'm glad to have that one. Also, it does not work with Mega Drive controllers. So I did eventually use Mega Drive controllers on my Master System. But I still had to use old Batman there for Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Not fun. Next Christmas we got Sonic Chaos. Now I was a massive Sonic fan. Still am to a certain degree, but not as much as I was when I was a kid. I so wanted Sonic 2. But, I could never see it anywhere. I went to game in, I think it was Blanchardstown, and they had Sonic Chaos, so I asked for that. I got that for Christmas along with Winter Olympics. Kind of an odd choice. But the choices that were there were Winter Olympics and the Cyber Shinobi. I'm glad I went with Winter Olympics in the end. So a few more then that, see. RoboCop. This was next up, and I actually got this, I think, for my confirmation. I bought it with, the money you get. Next up was a holiday pick. Picked this up in Kerry on a trip. It was a tenner. It was either this or Operation Wolf. I had a black and white telly. I probably should have picked up Operation Wolf. But Operation Wolf used a light gun, and I thought, it might not work, so I'll go with that. But you can use Operation Wolf for the controller. So next up was Lemmings. I think I picked this up for something like 13 up in game in Blanchardstown as well. Good game, actually. And now we're getting to the end of the original set. This was the last one that I bought myself, and that is Wonder Boy in Monster World. Great game, kind of close out the series in terms of the 8-bit entries. Ported Mega Drive version, of course. This, I think, was... God, when was it? This one has a receipt, I know that. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Yep. So it was 23rd of the 11th, 1995. That's when I got this for $12.99. And I will sort that out later. But that's a great game. So it was kind of a good way for me as a more expensive item. I say more expensive. $12.99 for a game these days. It wouldn't be expensive. I thought you could buy for that these days. But next up is one that I actually got. It was a Christmas present again. Sonic 2. Finally got Sonic 2. Now, after all the years from Sonic 1 to Christmas 1995, so 91, 95, waiting to try and get Sonic 2, I finally got it. Cover art, so cool. Oh, hang gliding. It's the 90s, rad. I wasn't a major fan of this. It just does not hold up as well as Sonic 1, and I actually prefer Sonic Chaos. This one had too many kind of like death pits, and like the hang glider was just weird and stuff like that. There was a bit too many gimmicks. But playing it again recently for the Master System Challenge, I've grown to enjoy it. I actually appreciate it a lot more now. I think as well that time away from the kind of pent up, oh my god, Sonic 2 is going to be so amazing. And even the magazines at the time, Mean Machines had rated it higher. Like, time away, I suppose, allows you to look back on things more favorably. And that is, that is now a good game that I would happily replay. But at the time, I was a little disappointed. So the following three, or the final three here, are slightly different. Those first set of games, they are what I would call my original set. They're the games that I got before I moved on. After Sonic 2, actually just before it, I think, around the time between Wonder Boy and Sonic 2, I got a Mega Drive. And only 18 months later or something like that, I got an N64. So things, I was moving on from the Master System. Still loved it, still kept it, still played it, but, it was my older system. But I did get these games as well. Basically, now these are upgrades, because when I got these, I got them in kind of charity shops somewhere in the UK. I actually don't remember. We were just on a holiday. Not all in one go. In fact, these ones came from a family, actually, and these two came from charity shops. They were all like 50 pence, but they were loose carts at the time. But I picked them up because why would I not? 50 pence for 3 games, or 150 for the 3 games. Of course I'm going to go for that. They were loose carts, so when I got back into collecting, I basically looked for upgrades to flesh those out. So I still have the cart, but I got the manual on box to complete them out. But anyway, that is basically the 90s. From there, we went on to a little bit of a dark age, because it would be the 2000s. And here is the 2000 pickups. Yep, nothing. This would be the only decade where I would go a whole 10-year block without picking up anything for the Master System. I guess you could call it my dark age, for at least for the Master System, if not for retro gaming. I still was buying games, still playing games, but it was a lot more of the kind of more current stuff. So, went from GameCube to Wii to DS to Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. But Master System, yeah, that was still to kind of come in terms of a big collection, and that would be, I suppose, eBay would change things. So if the 2000s were considered the dark age, I guess you could consider the 2010s the golden age. I think there's about 313 games here, and there's actually so many I've had to switch over to the wide angle lens to try and fit the entire view here. So I'll break them down, or what I've done here is I've broken them down actually by year. So on the left hand side, from Considine to Fantastic Dizzy, that's 2010 games. From Miracle Warrior Speedball all the way down to Pac-Mania, that's 2011. 2011 was the big haul year, really. I'll go through that in more detail. Then from Super Tennis to the Terminator, that's 2012. And you can see the numbers are kind of going down at this point. There's only one stack. It's the Psychic World stack is 2013, and Scrambled Spirits on its own is 2014. This last section here, Terminator 2, that is the kind of stack of games where I don't know which year I got them. Most of them were picked up locally, and I can't find the receipts. But if I had to guess, they're all going to come from 2011, 2012, probably, period. But what I'm going to do now is pause and kind of go year by year to kind of flip through the titles in a little more detail and chat about a few of the items that are of note. Okay, so here we are with 2010. On its own, it's a very decent set of games, a good kind of, I suppose, way to kick off a collection, because my goal at this point was basically buy some bundles where you could kind of get titles thrown in together, relatively affordable, a lot more affordable than it is today anyway, and reduce ship and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to flick through, the sacks. So we have Considine on the left hand side. It's a pretty good game. I mean, bit tough. I know, was it Batman 666? he loved this game. On the Sega forums, Kung Fu Kid, semi-sequel to Dragon Wang on the SU-1000, which Holly kind of posted about recently. Golden Axe, Global Defense. So all this left-hand stack, I largely got in Joro Racer. I largely got into one pile. The Galaxy Force PAL version. This is one of the games where I would like a variant at some point. The US version has a nice silver cover. Speaking of US versions, we have Cyber Shinobi. So we do see a few of the Activision games with different kind of color boxes, and this is the US one, all English, black. It's basically like a prototype Mega Drive game. California Games. Super Space Invaders. Basketball Nightmare. I found this one was such a strange game when I played it the first time. I'd never heard of it before, and kind of like, I guess it reminds me a bit of like Teen Wolf. Back to the Future 2. Yeah, this was one, as I said, this left-hand stack here, I definitely got like a big bundle. I think I got about 30 games in one bundle. This is not a great game. It's one of the worst games in the system. One of the worst games I've ever played. Getting through this first level is nuts. But it's actually in that kind of like, so bad, it's at least interesting to play category. I wouldn't say good, interesting to play. And I love how they showed kind of a few pictures from the other levels, or at least other level. Yeah, I think I've gotten past level 1 once. Oops, the camera. Final two on this side. Alien Syndrome. And actually, this one was not part of that bundle. I got this and another game. I think it was Jurassic Park for something like, the two of them were like €4 delivered or something like that from a seller in Ireland on eBay. That was both of them are great games. But as I said, great way to kind of kick things off. Moving on. Probably more bundle stuff at this time. Jungle Book, another decent platformer. Indiana Jones, the kind of, I call this the US Gold cover. See, it differs from your kind of standard, well, sort of standard Sega box cover. Like, that's not really what I was talking about. Later releases came in boxes like this, you know, where you had the spine and you have the artwork in the center and the Sega Master System logo. US Gold went and did their own thing. Heavyweight Champ. Okay, but not a great game. Speaking of great games, though, Castle of Illusion. Now this is a quality platformer. Yeah, I actually think it's better than the Mega Drive game. This one was an early and lucky, I suppose, pickup. Ultima 4. So I got Ultima 4 like with one of the 2 extra books for only a few quid. I'd have to look back. Let's see if I can find my records on what it was. No, it's not coming up. I really should have looked up ahead of time some of the more. Oh no, there it is. Let me see. Ultima 4, including a second auction, cost €15 delivered. And the second auction was actually for the map. So, you know, this game came with a map and the full version came with 2 of these books. Very, very difficult to find. It's kind of nuts to think that I could actually get the map separately. And I think no one else bid in the auction. I was the only one, so I got it for like 99 pence. But it was definitely, I was glad to kind of get that at least largely complete at that point in time. And we have Baku Animals, my first tech toy game. And the reason why I picked it is because, well, basically I was drawn to, you know, this back in the 90s. I always thought it looked like a very interesting puzzler. It was a Saturn game, but I thought surely it could be on other systems. And it turns out it was on the Master System. This was, for me at the time, comparatively expensive. It was €26 delivered. And I say comparatively expensive. Good luck getting it for that today. Next up, we have another. So we've kind of hit now a batch of good games. These were all individual purchases, Micro Machines. And I'm flicking through my records, see if I can find this one too. Micro Machines was... This was 15. Codemaster games, not the easiest thing to come by. Also, because they have their own box, you can't just use a standard box to replace. So you kind of want a good, you know, good Codemaster box. This was in really nice condition and it's a great game. And, as I said, another kind of interesting title, a second Brazilian pickup, which was Ariel the Little Mermaid. So what was that one? This was €22. So again, good luck finding Tecto games delivered for €22 today. Now we got some, as I said, kind of 3D games kicking in here. I was kind of aware, you know, the first bundle I got was just like, let's get some, you know, let's get a bundle of cheap games. I think most of the games were like averaged at about €3. But there's lots of games that are more interesting and you're not always able to find them in bundles. So you gotta pick them up when you can. This one, Zaxxon 3D, could be the US version. Yeah, it is the US version because, as I said, my collection is basically either or. I don't mind US or PAL version. Zaxxon 3D, I got this on eBay for €14 delivered at the time. Not bad. Ninja Gaiden. Really good game. I don't think it's as good as the SNES games, but then they're excellent quality. I do think it looks a bit nicer. This was also a pretty good deal, I think at 12 delivered. Now, of course, some of these, you know, I would have got a trade as well and whatnot, so I don't have the price of everything, but I do it for quite a bit. And also, some of them I probably mentioned in my original videos if I don't now when I pick them up. So another tricky to find one, and in very, very good condition. It was Dragon to Bruce Lee story. At this point, as you see, like I was picking some of the more challenging ones up, or not the hardest ones, but it was a case of early on try and tackle some of the harder ones, if possible. Then we have Monopoly. I think this might be the US version as well. Yeah, it is. Oh, and also it's the Monopoly variant. There is a standard version where it's correctly spelled, but I kind of found that amusing that they got the spelling of Monopoly wrong. So there's that. Next up we have another 3D game. I don't actually know how much this one was, but I think this is also the US copy. It is, yep. Then we have Rescue Mission. Light phaser required. A very unusual game where you're kind of going around a track and have to shoot things. And I like that back in the day, people were quite inventive with these light phaser games. And we have a classic, the Lucky Dime Kipper, really good platformer, as most of the Disney games were. Now these ones were all very cheap. Again, I think this was in a bundle. F16. Do you know, this is one of those things where on the face of it, the graphics are pretty awful. They're SG-1000 graphics. There's a lot of complexity in here. You have to have two controllers to play properly, all that sort of stuff. It's probably the wrong game for this system. It's trying to do too much, but it's interesting. I'll put it that way. Champions of Europe. Honestly, I've never played this one too much, so I don't know how good it is or not. On the other hand, Alien 3. This is a good game. I've played a fair bit of this. I know I rented it back in the day. One of the few rentals too. And we have Action Fighter. Again, all of these last bunch were in a bundle, so they would have cost only a couple of quid each. Yeah, just looking at it, I think they cost $3.50 each. And then we have a Brazilian game. One of my favorite games of the system. I love this art. I felt it kind of popped. Sega Special 2, Shinobi. Don't actually remember this one, to be honest. Where I got it or how much it cost or anything like that. Sadly. Next up we have, is this my first card game? Probably is. Hang On. Now I don't actually have, that's a repro. So I have the manual and card, but that's a homemade cover. You can kind of tell the quality. That was never like, well, it was released in with a full print, but extremely limited because most of them were just bundled in with the system. And while that was my first card game, here we got my first Kicks game, The Incredible Hulk. Now, my primary goal was just basically to get one of each game, so I wasn't too worried about if it's a variant or which variant. This one happened to be a little easier, but both are very, very difficult to get. So, yeah, I never actually got the standard edition version of the Hulk, fun enough. And, oh, do I have a price on the Hulk? No. I must do somewhere, but I can't see it. Next up we have another bundled one that was Time Soldiers. I'm not a huge fan of this. I find it a bit slow and clunky, to be honest. It wants to be kind of like Ikari Warriors Commando, and I guess it is, but it's not quite my cup of tea. Oh, hang on, there I see the Shinobi Tech Toy. That was 8, apparently. 8 delivered. Again, good luck getting tech toys for that these days. Another card game, My Hero. This is definitely an acquired taste. I kind of like it in a, you're going to kind of go drive yourself insane playing it way. Then we have another 3D game, Space Harrier 3D. I do actually have the, during this period I did get like a Master System 3 and, that one was the US copy. And I got the 3D glasses. And next we have another tricky one to get. This was a little bit pricier. It was about 19, 20 I think. T2, the arcade game, it's a related release. Both of the kind of Terminator game, both of the Terminator 2 games are a bit tough to get. This one is complete, isn't it? Yeah, it's in very good condition. So that was another nice one to get out of the way. Then we have Dynamite Duke, not to be confused with Dynamite Ducks. Missile Defense 3D. This could be another US one. It is. This one is actually probably my favorite 3D game because it actually combines the light phaser and the 3D glasses. Reduce this stack, it's a bit high. We have another light phaser game, Operation Wolf. I actually had the opportunity to play it, or buy this, but I bought Clax instead, as I mentioned earlier on in this video. May have been a mistake. And then another more challenging one to get. Yes, it looks a bit crude by today's standards, but back in the day, that is one hell of a conversion for an 8-bit system. Mortal Kombat 2, yeah, definitely a challenging one to pick up. Do I have info on that one? Yeah, that was 20 as well. That one is tough to find. And we have Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. I think this is the European one. It is, yeah, because I did get a variant, the American variant. And we have Thunderblade, not the best game. Like it's tough to do the kind of super scalar stuff. Their screenshots are actually pretty decent, but gameplay wise wouldn't be the best. Again, I'm actually into another bundle. A lot of these were bundled up. The Lion King, decent enough little platformer, but probably on the weaker end of the Disney platformers. Super Monaco GP. Again, I think this was one of the ones I actually managed to rent back in the day. Decent little racing game. I don't think I like it that much, but I do. Rastan, a recent Sega 8-bit challenge. It's a bit of a brutal game. You can tell the arcade origins. Everything, your time just runs down, your health and all that sort of stuff. So, bit of a tough one. Rampage, another arcade, another recent Sega 8-bit challenge. This is decent. Again, it's pretty brutal. I can't complete it at all, but it's a fun little game to kind of spend 15 minutes, but not one I would go back to all that often. And one of the weirdest or infamous cover arts, pro wrestling. Like, what is going on here? Why does this guy have no head? Is this his head? Is this some other wrestler's head? What the? Like, this is just so strange. Next we have Miss Pac-Man. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid port of Pac-Man. The only thing is, by the time this came out, which I'm trying to see the year, which 1991, that's 10 years. How much were people looking for Pac-Man? Maybe a lot, I suppose. I don't know. Next we have Ghost House Arcade, or Sega Card. And this is actually a nice, fun little game. I think this was exactly what the Sega Card series was all about. Simple, fun little games that were a little reduced in price. This is the US version. Did we have any info on those ones? Oh, somewhere, but I can't find it. Yeah, we're getting near the end of this. Another Cody's one. Fantastic Dizzy. It's a new release, apparently. Yeah. So again, nice condition. Another decent game, and it brought something different to the library. Apparently, Sega Pro Magazine certainly really liked it. Vigilante. So this is kind of a sequel to Kung Fu, or Kung Fu Master. It's a decent game. Some of the bosses, especially the last level, is a bit brutal, but yeah, not bad. Certainly an easier game, Tasmania. Again, fun little kind of cartoon platformer. Not the strongest on the system, but if you're just looking for an easier challenge, it's definitely an enjoyable experience. And now this is a tough enough one to find these days. Superman, the Man of Steel. I don't know, is it a combination of the kind of comic license and a slightly later release? What year is it? It's 93, so it's definitely later. It's hard to get this one now. Do I have any info on Superman? Yes, well, that was on. Oh, that was $350, so that was a really good price. Yeah, this last set, the last bunch of games were all in the same bundle, including this one here, Prince of Persia. This is one of the few that I don't have a manual for, unfortunately. And it's surprisingly difficult to get a manual for this. It's not that uncommon a game, but a lot of them do seem to be missing their manuals. And nowadays, yeah, people are charging a premium. So there we go. That is the kind of 2010 collections. I'm going to reset now and we look at 2011. Oh, so here we are with just the start of 2011. 2011 is so many games that I'm just going to have to do them in bits. And by the way, I found out that Fantasy Dizzy was a $5. That is an incredible price. Even cheaper than I thought. First up, I'm going to move this Japanese game out of the way, and that's Miracle Warriors, which comes with the pewter figure and the cloth map. Miracle Warriors is an okay game. It's very old school. If you like old school RPGs, you'll probably like it. But I really wanted this. Well, the box isn't in perfect condition because, one, I wanted something from the Mark III system in my library, and I love the presentation of this. So then we are on to California Games 2, a sequel to the classic. This one is a bit hard to find. I got lucky. I got a bundle with this and Back to the Future 3. Not a great game either. What a weird box art too with the zoomed in pixelated image. Very, very strange. But both of these combined cost like €12 shipped. Then we get to a bundle. I think most of these were $5. Speedball 2, Asterix and the Secret Mission. There's 3 Asterix games. This is actually a variant of the second. This was my first classic game as well. Alien Storm, Alex Kidd and Shinobi World. Now, come to think about it, I think this might be a blue label. This is the US. Oh no, it's not. It's not. Sorry, I thought this one might have been a blue label one. Alex Kidd and Shinobi World is a great game though. Yeah, these were all part of a bundle. I think they worked out at like $5 each delivered or something like that. And then Altered Beast. Now we have one of the big hitters. We have Masters of Combat. This game recently went for 1,000 sterling. This copy cost €30. The one problem with it is the cover of the manual is gone. Other than that, obviously, it's actually in pretty good nick, especially the cover, or sorry, the artwork. Crazy, like, I mean, not that many people bid on this back in the day because of the cover of the manual. I think things will be a bit different now. Another interesting one, and that is World Cup 94. This is actually an Australian version. It is in this kind of silver box. The silver boxes and a lot of the Australian stuff is very fragile. So this came bundled with this Power Strike 2. Now, Power Strike 2 is also another very challenging one to get. This is the Australian version. Now, I've actually put it into a European box. I do have the original Australian box, but it's a bit weak, hence why it doesn't quite fit. Those 2 games, they were at the time what I would consider very expensive. I'm just trying to find them now. But I think combined they were like €80 or something like that, or maybe €90. Yeah, I think it was €90 delivered. That would have been, I would have considered expensive. So to offset that, we got another bunch of more common stuff. Speedball, Slapshot. Actually, Bart probably wasn't a cheap one to get either. Bart versus the Space Mutants isn't too bad, I think, but Bart versus the World is a little harder to get. But looking at it, no, this worked out at all of these games in this stack. I think worked out at €3 or €4 a piece because it was a big bundle. I think there was about 30 games in the bundle. So the 2 Simpsons games. Bart versus the World is a much later game, and it's kind of incomplete, a bit buggy, hard to find, and the prices have definitely gone up. Rocky, not as bad as its reputation might lead you to believe. And while we're on the Sylvester Stallone, we have Rambo 3, and that's quite the cover art. Putt and Putter Golf. Yeah, like, I mean, can you imagine this being a full retail release today? It's actually a fun little game, but it's kind of funny, the type of titles that would get a full release back then. Predator 2, interesting cover as well. Another arena production. Another arcade game, Paperboy. This is US Gold. We have that US Gold box. Pretty decent version, actually. And we have a couple more. Marble Madness. I actually quite like this one. It's tricky to play. seen this. I have this sticker on a few games, part of pack only, not to be returned separately. So I think shops are bundling stuff. Not too sure what that's all about anyway. And then we have another US Gold. We have Impossible Mission. Decent game, decent port of the Commodore 64 version, but you really, it's tough to get into if you're not used to it. So moving on to the next pile. Let's see. I'm just trying to. I have a second phone here with some of the information. That's what I'm kind of scrolling through to find the kind of info on. What have we got up at the top? We have Transbot, the card game. Yeah, I must have scrolled too far because I don't see it. Oh no, I do. This was 10. Even back then, the card games were not easy to get. This is the European one. Most of my other ones were actually American. The Flash, another tricky one to get, actually, a bit later. So this one got a bit creased, and it does have a classic variant release as well. That one was about 10 or 12 as well. Then we have absolute classic of the system, Fantasy Zone. Unfortunately, my cover's got a bit of watermarking on it, but hey, it plays great. Later release, Desert Speed Trap. Again, this one got another classic variant release. We'll see later. Bit of a strange title, Cloud Master. I always thought the title, you know, even as a kid, I thought, ooh, what's that all about? Interesting title. An early title here, Shoplifter. You can tell, sparse cover art. Here's a helicopter, but then again, kind of says what it is. All of this bunch were again another bundle of like £3-4 games. Aztec Adventure, sort of Zelda-ish. At least that's kind of what I had took away from it, though not quite as strong. Ayrton Senna Super Monaco GP2. Again, I actually quite like this. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoy it. Global Gladiators, some McDonald's branding. Yeah, like McDonald's flushing global pollution. Okay, given all of the waste, but kind of seems a bit hypocritical. Cheese Catastrophe. Unfortunately, the cover got damaged on me, which was really annoying. And actually, that was self-inflicted. This one was very smoke damage, so I tried to get rid of the smoke using bicarb and stuff like that. I even tried a dryer sheet, and the dryer sheet took the kind of ink on the cover. So, lesson, don't do that again. Which is unfortunate too, because I think I got that for like a $5 that game. So it would have been a very, decent, pickup for that price. Just looking through if I can find it, and also to keep myself in line. It's somewhere here. Another tricky to find one, Zool, Ninja at the Fifth Dimension. Of course, this was kind of like seen as the Amiga mascot as much as anything. I think speedruns of this, you can complete it in almost only 5 minutes or something. It's crazy. So yeah, Zool was 11, and followed up with that was another 3D game, which was 12, I believe. I think this might be, no, it's European actually. Not easy to get this one at all now. I think so many people are into the 3D set that they're like, back when I was collecting like 10 years ago for this set, it was hard to get them. You weren't getting them for like £2 or £3. So even, it's going to be much, much harder today. Next up we have Hang On. Again, this is another one of those that's part of a big bundle. Is this my first great sports game? I intentionally did not go after these type of games because they were so common, so cheap. I figured I'll try and bundle up stuff like the bundles I got with Flash and Bark for Space Mutants and things like that. If you want to get 30 games or so, 25 games, big bundles, as I was doing, it makes more sense to kind of pick up some of the more challenging games and then at the end focus on stuff like George Foreman or Great Golf. Although George Foreman's not quite as easy to find as Great Golf. Gauntlet, US Gold again, same box art. Dick Tracy, actually a decent game. I played more the Mega Drive version, but this is a pretty good port. The buttons, the lack of a third button kind of makes it a bit challenging. Bubble Bobble, a great arcade port actually. This is one of the best games, arcade games on the system in my opinion. And the 2-player mode has something like 200 levels when you play it all to get to the true ending. It's crazy. Next up we have Black Belt, another very, very basic early title. Of course, this was Fisted and North Star converted. Now we have Bank Panic. It's another kind of early arcade game, which looks like a light shooter, you know, shoot the targets, but it's not. Kind of surprised I didn't support it. Then we have Arcade Smash Hits. I think this contained like Pong, Centipede, and something else. Oh, Missile Command, it looks like, yeah. It's okay. Speaking of only okay, Alex Kidd The Lost Arts. After Alex Kidd in Miracle World, yeah, this is definitely a step down. Some of the platforming isn't too bad. Level teaming isn't too bad. Bit weird, but God, the screaming every time he takes a hit. Oh God, that's not good. Now this one was, of course, not an Alex Kidd game, and it's rebranded in the Western territories, but I actually quite like it. Alex Kidd High Tech World starts off, and all the screenshots do kind of set it up. You're in this kind of Alex's castle, I guess, and you're trying to find the pieces of this map to go, or the ticket to go to the Sega arcade, and then you go into an action stage. A little cheeky calling it Scenes 4. Yeah, it's not. But it's a good game, and all of the Alex Kidd games these days are getting tricky to find, and the prices are going up, which kind of makes sense because it's ultimately a mascot for the system. I'm trying to see if I can find the kind of information of when I got it, but I don't. Sometime in 2011. Anyway, I'm going to pause there and move on to the rest of 2011. Okay, so here's the next set of 2011 games. I was very optimistic in thinking I might fit them all, because there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stacks. So, first up we have a rare, hard to find one, Spider-Man Return to Sinister 6. Whoever bought this back in the day got it for $14.88 apparently. What a weird price. I got this at a pretty good deal. I think I got this for $12, so even cheaper. Next up is one of my best bargains going. €2 delivered. Wonder Boy in Monsterland. This is a cracking title from a cracking series. It's in great condition. Like, just insane pricing. But that's what it was like back then. And just to show you, as part of the bundle, get Miracle Warriors. Like, you wouldn't get one of them for that price. Comes with the map, although it's not in the best condition. Which is why I was also glad to get the Japanese one with the cloth map. Part of the same bundle, Golvelius, Valley of Doom. And again, all complete, although the manual's in a little rough condition. But part of the bundle each title was €2 each. And was this one also part of this bundle? I'll have to check in a second. Golden Axe Warrior. This is a tough one to get. It's a great game. It very much is the system Zelda. So like the manual has a little bit of damage there, but it's really nothing. Top game. I'm just checking out, was that part of it? Indeed it was. So Golden Axe Warrior, Golvelius, Miracle Warriors, and Wonder Boy in Monsterland, all together shipped €8. Yeah, that was the day to begin these. In fact, Zillion 2 cost €7 just on its own. So that previous one might be up there at my best deals ever. Although Zillion 2 is in really nice condition. Next up we have Robocop vs. Terminator. This is actually a really good game. Late release, big chunky manual. You should definitely check it out. It's a top game on the system. Next up we have Xenon 2, ImageWorks version. This was, I think it was released as well by Virgin. I'm not sure. Some of the ImageWorks stuff was re-released by Virgin. Then we have another Wonder Boy game, the original this time. Very cutesy, simple art. This is a great port of the arcade game. Much better than Adventure Island on the NES, if you ask me. And we have two more to finish this off. We have Tecmo World Golf and Taito Chase HQ. I'm going to check the Taito one because I might have got that one locally. No, I didn't. Sorry, that was part of the bundle with the Simpsons games and stuff for €3 a piece, whereas some of the others were on their own. Next up we have Alex Kidd in Miracle World, perhaps the mascot. Now, unfortunately for me, this one has got the wrong manual. It's got the console manual rather than the game manual, but I'm not too pushed. It's got a manual. It's a manual for the game. It'll do. Plus, that was €18. You're not getting even the cart, I'd say, for that price today. Marksman shooting, trap shooting, safari hunt, a combo cart of a lot of shooting. Not easy to get some of these combo carts. Yeah, I really had to kind of safari hunt for the combo carts. Yeah, that one was lucky though. That one cost like $2.99 delivered. Next up we have Wimbledon 2. Again, a little later. It's probably not, and I had the same dryer sheet problem on this one. Probably not the easiest title to get. The fact that it's a sports game probably keeps the price down, but it is a little rare. This one I've had so many copies of this. I think, given how many bundles I got this, and this was practically free. Trivial Pursuit. Another sports one that's not the easiest to get. It's Summer Games. Yeah, it's surprising. You think like all these sports games are so easy and all that sort of stuff, but no, not necessarily all of them. 1991, that one. Next up we have the Strider game. Strider 1, Strider 2. Yeah, this is the Gary Barlow cover, I call it. Neither are great on the Master System, for being honest. Especially Strider 2. That one isn't based on a real kind of Capcom game. A classic, and then question mark on the system, Psycho Fox. When I was younger, I really, really wanted Psycho Fox. I never got it. Got it in my collecting days, played it, and then I was like, maybe I'm glad I didn't get it, actually. I struggled to get the physics, basically. It's clearly part of the Kid Cool series. So, not my cup of tea. Now we're into a few games I think I got from GameLink Spalding. With Retro Bob on a visit there. So it's PGA Tour Golf. Not the most exciting game, but at least I don't know if these ones did, but New Zealand Story. Love the artwork in this one. I nearly bought this back in the day, but I ended up getting Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego instead. So lovely little game. Lovely little lovely quality there. And we have the original Mortal Kombat. You know, as I said for Mortal Kombat 2, this was a great version. Good nick. Hard to get, hard to get the Mortal Kombats as well. There's anything that's kind of got a name on it. Like that is definitely kind of more desirable and just not as easy to get. That was part of a bundle I got from GameLink. So the big one I got from GameLink though was Outrun 3D. I'll try to see how much that one cost me, because that was part of the bundle, but it definitely kind of added to the price. Now this was, I think, the last 3D game, and perhaps one of the most impressive ones. So, Outrun 3D. Actually, no, sorry, this is part of a different bundle, but this was at the time my most expensive game. This was 40. Those other ones were actually part of a separate bundle, like GP Rider. That was, I think, €4 a piece. Laser Ghost, that was part of a bundle in GameLink. Echo, I'm not a big fan of Echo, but it's actually a decent port. Andre Agassi, he was a big deal back in the day. And American Baseball. I was getting a bit of the sports titles at this point. Not all like American Baseball that easy. And taking a little bit of a break from the usual stuff, we have Vigor-chan. This was the first homebrew game that got a proper, full release. And it was by Epoch and Play Generation, and they did a great version. It's basically a version of Mr. Driller for the system. Works really well. And we have a fun little game, Kirby's Fun House. Not Kirby, Krusty's Fun House. Featuring The Simpsons. Probably the best Simpsons game of the era, at least on the Master System. Another Flying Edge, and you were always never sure what you were going to get with Flying Edge. A slightly tricky one to get, Shooting Gallery. Another Light Phaser game, another early simple one, but I don't think they sold these in huge numbers. So not easy to get at all. In comparison, this is easy to get. I think this costs like £2. This is actually the American cover art. I think I have the European cover underneath it. And I prefer the American artwork, that's why I've done that. And then we have Tom and Jerry the movie. People complain about this game, and it's actually kind of interesting. The background is the various levels. Unusual and perhaps lazy art, but I think it's a pretty decent. If you try and play this like a standard action game, you're going to have problems. If you play it like Prince of Persia, that's going to make it a lot better, because that's what it is. It's a kind of a slower, methodical kind of platforming action game, and you have to kind of plan your actions to catch Jerry. And we have Rampart, one of those kind of classic cover art things you see with like Call of Duty and stuff of same type of composition. Now this one I must actually look up where I got this. Alex Kidd BMX drop. That is very tough to get. That's one of my favorite items in the collection. And let me see. Alex Kidd. I know I got this from Benny on the Sega 8-bit forums. Now I'm looking up, it was actually part of a trade. I did some homebrew, or kind of repro stuff, and this was what I got in return. So yeah, it was a good deal. And we're getting towards the end of this set here. We have Double Dragon, pretty good port. Columns, Captain Silver. This is the European version. The US version is actually a different release, and it is something I would definitely like to add to the collection. It's got different artwork, but also it is shorter. It is like a 1 meg cart instead of a 2 meg cart or something like that. Battle Outrun, little crease but good condition. Other than that, like the cart manual. Asterix, great game, another top platform on the system. Ace of Aces, not the best, but compared to say F16, it's pretty good. This one's a bit strange. Game Box, what do they call it? I can't remember what this is called. I don't know. It's a compilation cart. It was released in Brazil and in Portugal. It's the sticker here. So, like, none of the games are unique. It's great volleyball, Wimbledon, and stuff like that, all stuck in one cartridge. But it's a bit unusual. So you got the the tech toy style label there. Generally, it's not considered part of the PAL set, by the way. So F16 is the card version of it, because it was so good in card, we needed it twice. Sensible Soccer, now this is a pretty decent game. I think I got this for a decent price too. And Penguin Land, actually I got this in Spalding with Outrun 3D. So there we go, that is the next set. And I'm out of breath from up and down and moving those cards, so I'm going to have to reset with the rest of 2011. Okay, so I don't think there's quite as many interesting titles in this set, so we're going to try and move them as quickly as possible. First up, we have Teddy Boy, again another early one, decent arcade game. Sega chess. Every system had to have a chess game, I think, back then. Secret Command. This was, I think, Rambo Part 2 in the US. RC Grand Prix. You can see the artwork's getting a little bit better, late 80s stuff. Another kind of radio control racing game. My Hero, again, because we needed My Hero more than once. Of course, I think all of the Sega card games, except for one, got cartridge releases. Then we have Mercs with the Sega Info Belgian line, which tells you where this one came from. Most of these actually came from a bundle. I think, again, they worked out pretty affordably. And we have Ghouls and Ghosts. This is a great version. Yes, it's a little slow, a little flickery, but considering the power of the system, yeah, pretty impressive. We have Forgotten Worlds. Again, a decent port of the Capcom title. I forgot to look up the price of this one, but thankfully I got this very cheap, like no more than £3, I think, €3 delivered. It's not a very good game. Another one from Belgium, Fire Forget 2. I found this one so hard to find, like just to even find a listing. I think I got this from Private Joker on the Sega 8-bit forums. And we have Double Hawk 2, which definitely does not have some licensed people there. Then we have Spider-Man, an early game, but thankfully, even though it's Spider-Man licensed, easy enough to find. And we have Space Harrier. A lot of people like this. It's okay. They did it probably as good as they could have, given the Super Skater technology. Or Tape. Now, this is much more like it as a shooting game. Definitely one of the best shooting games on the system. Outrun Europa. This gets a bad rap compared to the original Outrun. I understand it's not as good as that, but, and also it starts on a motorbike or something like that, I think. It's actually not bad if you just kind of give it its own chance. Another US Gold. I think there's a variant cover for this too. Master of Darkness. A little bit of a later release. Definitely worth checking out. This is, I guess you could call it Sega's answer to Castlevania. Very good game. Master Games compilation of 3 pretty common games. Super Monaco GP, Columns, and World Soccer. This one, yeah, it has a whole bunch of manuals in there. I kind of got the impression this was going to be a series, but they only ever did the one. I thought this was going to be like the Mega Games. And we have Cool Spot. Very solid port, actually, of the Mega Drive game. We have Ayrton Senna's Monaco GP2. This is a cover variant. And we have a great racing game, Road Rash. This is like, they did such a good job on this port. I got 2 versions of this, and I think combined both of them came to like 24 or something like that. Very well worth it because it's a very good game. So we have Teddy Boy on card. Again, not much to say other than the fact that card games tend to go for more than the card versions. World Cup Italian 90. This was okay. I was always excited by the fact that Ireland, and you can just about see there, the top screenshot, Ireland were in the game. Because of course Ireland were in World Cup Italian 90. Then we have World Cup USA 94, and unfortunately I think mine is missing. Oh no, sorry, it has the brochure thing. Yeah, so there's different region ones where you have the additional kind of brochure piece. And we have my first, that one that I kept for myself, I guess, Sonic Triple Trouble. So this is a reproduction where I made videos on this, where I made a little poster, manual, and cart label and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's a good game actually. It's a pity that they never released it officially. Quartet, of course, with only supporting 2 players is a bit odd, but this is another tough one to find. I've seen very few copies of this back in the day. I think I got it for about £8 or something, which is pretty good given how challenging it is to find. Pretty common though is Pit Fighter. Yeah, it's not a great game. We see that another part of pack only bundle thing. Sega World Tournament Golf though, again back to the kind of rare side on the sports. It's an okay sports title. It probably doesn't justify the challenge in finding it, but at least it's not like inflated in price that badly compared to other games. Back onto the kicks, we have James Bond 2. So of course I had James Bond growing up, but I had the original cover version. This was the kicks variant. And I just mentioned the Road Rash version. This is the kicks variant of the Road Rash game. I think I have all of the kicks versions. I don't have all of the classic versions. Next up, we have Dynamite Ducks. So another Sega Master System challenge on Twitter. This is a rather strange game, you know. It's kind of Double Dragon-y, you know, the scroll and beat 'em up thing, where you're a duck that throws bombs and stuff at people. Okay. So, when I first collected this, didn't probably appreciate this title as much as I do now. Phantasy Star, I always appreciated for its place in history and whatnot. Like, the graphics are incredible for a Master System, for any 8-bit system. But I played it now in the Sega Ages version, and it's actually a really good game. So if I was to revisit my top games, this might bump up slightly. I got this for 20 back in the day. Well worth it. That's a great game. Next up we have WWF or Wrestling Steel Cage Challenge. It's Flying Edge. It's okay. It's, you know, if you like wrestling, I guess you're gonna like this. I think I got this bundled with Streets of Rage 2. Streets of Rage 2 has shot up in value, I believe. So yeah, I got this with WWF. What did it cost? It didn't cost very much at all. It was kind of crazy how things have changed. Streets of Rage 2, WWF. Yeah, and actually there was a bunch of other games that we've just passed by, but they all averaged out at €3 a piece, including Streets of Rage. It's Spy vs. Spy, one of the later card games. Might be the last one, in fact, given the artwork. In fact, I think it is. I think this is the US copy. Yeah, it is. We've seen Secret Command, and here's the American version, Rambo, First Blood Part 2. Prefer the American version here. I think a few of these came out about 10 to €12. We have Power Strike, the first one. This is the mail order US release. I just thought this was more novel, which is why I went for that versus the standard release. Both are hard to get, mind you. And we have another 3D game, another hard to find title, Sidon Wars. Kind of harkened back to some of Sega's earliest arcade games. I think it was a Sub-Block or something. Then we've Hang On, a Safari Hunt, another combo cart. This is another US release. This is a whole bunch. This was a US bundle I got. Great Football, finally got some of the good. Great Football was too eager to be played. Well, sorry, go back into your plastic tomb there. You're not getting played. we have great baseball, another great American sport and it is the American version of the game. I'm just trying to see, what was this bundle now? Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here that varied in price, but the most expensive was a tenner. And we're nearly done with this set. We have Fantasy Zone 4, Gangster Town. It's a decent game, actually. Bram Stoker's Dracula. And to top them off, Super Off-Road. That's actually a very good port, Super Off-Road. And it's got a little challenging to find. Not crazy in price, mind you, which is something. But you do typically see it go for like 30, 40. I think that costs 9, so pretty good. Anyway, pause there and return with the next set. Okay, so finally we're getting nearly 2011. 2011 was a very busy year. We have eSWAT. Again, a solid version of the game. Sonic Spinball. This is very tough to get these days. I got this for like a tenner or something like that. Actually, it might have been less. I think it was a £5. Because I got it in a bundle with a few other games that were hard to find. So when you average it out, and I kind of sold some of the games, like this was a great deal. Gordon helped me out with that hugely. We have the Lucky Dime Caper, and that's the classic variant. Classic game, deserves it. Then we have Deep Duck Trouble. When I did my original package and pickups video, I'm pretty sure I struggled to say this, and apparently I still do. So this was, I guess you could call this the follow-up to Lucky Dime Caper. It's another solid game. Like, it doesn't quite stand out as much, but it's good. And we have Daffy Duck in Hollywood, a late release. This was 94. Sorry, I didn't know if it was 94 95, but it was a late release. Maybe it was Cheese Catastrophe was 95. So it's tough to find. All of these games that I've just shown you, including this one here, were part of the same bundle. Championship Hockey. This is not a good game, and it goes for insane money. I got it for a tenner, and that was thanks to Gordon. All of these games, I think, came in the same bundle, and everything except for Championship Hockey worked out basically. So it was like $5 or $5 or something like that, and yeah, it was a great deal. Then we have Bonanza Brothers. Actually, come to think of it, that and this one here, Asterix, the third and final Asterix game, I think, if my memory serves me right. This was part of that bundle too, so they were also about a £5. And then we have the Smurfs. No, not the sequel. The still hard to find first one. Nice graphics. I do like the look of it. There's still a lot of debate on, did this one even get released in the UK and Ireland? I suspect it probably did, but given the titling, I can understand why people, have reservations. And of course, the fact that it's not that common. Another homebrew there. Superboy 4. It's kind of like Mario World ported to the Master System. We have a US. I think this was a US exclusive. Certainly, this version is, because it supports the Sport Pad, which is a terrible trackball controller. And we have all on decent enough connect. Shadow Dancer, the sequel to Shinobi. This is a lot better than some of the Shinobi games that would come out. F1, like the artwork, decent. A Master System was not short on decent racing games. SEI, I actually found this in a local charity shop, and I think I got it for like €2. So yeah, there's Tito. Yeah, very clever, written on the manual. But I got it at the same stage as this one, and this is so weird. Ghostbusters, right? This is the US re-release blue card version in an Irish charity shop. Okay, I will take it. It was also €2. I think I got this in the Rage. No, sorry, it was a sequel I got in the Rage. This came in a bundle. Chuck Rock. Then we have Sagaya. This is, of course, a version of Darius. Good game, but very tough. A few more homebrew games. I'm going to blast through them. Ones that I made myself again. Sonic Edusoft and Sonic Drift 2. I like me my Sonic games, so I had to complete the set. Sadly, this set does not include Sonic Blast. Transbot, who is like, I don't know, doing some sort of, I think he's meant to be flying, but kind of looks like he's doing Herr Hitler thing. Then we have Pac-Mania, a solid port of the later kind of Pac-Man games, a 3D one, which is all the rage. We have Joe Montana Football. This is a US version. We have a Tectoy game, Mega port, I believe, only released in Brazil. I think I got this for about 18, which is a pretty good price. We have Crash Test Dummies. I actually got this, and I got a sealed blister one, which I don't have the hand right now. We have the American variant of Moonwalker. It's in okay condition, although, yeah, this came in a bundle that I had a lot of trouble with. Now, it did include this, and the price for everything, I think this worked out at a tenner, but it had been one of those things on eBay where it was like, oh, it was in mint condition, and yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that was not in mint condition. It's part of that bundle. It's in decent condition, but not mint. Oops, knocked over Cosmic Spacehead. Another Codemaster game. I think this is the last one that actually got released. That one is in mint condition. Streets of Rage. Solid port. There is if the collision detection could have just been tightened up, this would have been an excellent game. Portuguese version of Transbot. So basically, the Tectoy version. And we have another SportsPad game, SportsPad Football, US game again. And on the US front, we have one of the exclusive, Montezuma's Revenge, featuring Panama Joe. Very difficult to get. There's another one of the Parker Brothers games, along with Where in the World. You can see the manuals, exactly. Slide edit there. I was talking about this, and I don't know, did I run out of memory temporarily, or just record for too long, but it cut off. We're near the end of 2011 anyway, where we have 2 combo cards, Hang On, Astro Warrior, and Marksman Shooting and Trap Shooting. So yeah, these were all US games, came in a big US bundle. Lots to see and lots to do there. Anyway, I'm going to move on to 2012, and thankfully there's not as many games. Okay, so back in 2012, and while this isn't everything, it is most, which should make things easier to go through. First up, we got Sega Card, Super Tennis. This is pretty much up there with Hang On as the most common and easy to find. Now we have the Classics version, another variant of Super Monaco GP2. We have Great Basketball. Yeah, it's a little tricky to find, but yeah, your typical Great Basketball, not in that much demand. Unlike Ultimate Soccer, this was a toughie to find. Again, one of the more expensive ones, even back in the day. I think this one was, I don't know, it was a 35 or 40, but it was not that cheap for a football game. This is another US Gold, but this time it's actually in the kind of standard or more standardized Sega box, So I think there is a variant of this with the US Gold box that I still have to add to the collection. We have Wolfchild. Nice little artwork there. A solid game, but I don't, if I remember correctly, there's like no music, which is weird. Now we have Running Battle. A little bit uncommon. Yeah, it's the type of thing, I think I got it in a bundle, which makes it, okay, but it's not easy to find on its own. This one, again, very tough to find. I didn't see too many copies of this. I think this cost about 10 or 12, and I had to resort to an eBay bin man to get it. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to find this one. And we have the one that supports the 3D glasses, but doesn't tell you about it. Line of Fire. Doesn't mention it anywhere, but yeah, 3D glasses compatible. We have Timothy Dalton as Bond, James Bond in 007 The Duel. Ninja Bear Hug did a good video on this. I think I got these games from Private Joker on the Sega 8-bit forums. We have Danan the Jungle Fighter. We have Air Rescue. I actually got this on eBay pretty cheaply, I think, from Ireland, like €3 delivered. Good little game, very short, but good little game. And we have a version of Wonder Boy 3D Dragon's Trap. This is actually an Australian copy, hence there's no grid. And Sega Classic sticker. Silver cart. I do have a silver box that probably should be in. It was a little damaged, which is why I put it into this box instead. And we have a US Activision variant, because we mentioned Rampage earlier. This is the US version with the red cover. These were part of a bundle deal I think I got. Can't remember the exact price. Astro Warrior, again, this is US release. It didn't get a solo release in Europe, if I recall. We have Dead Angle. Yeah, I always thought this looked so strange in the Sega catalog back in the day, and I still do. We have Indie. This is the Sega version of the US. You know, there's two variants of this, like the US Gold cover and the what I would call standard Sega cover. Space Gun. All I remember of this was that Mean Machines tore this apart. I think it gave us something like 9% or something. Yeah, it's a light gun game. Apparently they didn't like it. Speaking of something that should have been a single release with light gun game, Assault City. There's two versions of this. This one isn't too bad to find, but the one with the red light phaser support, a lot harder to find. Both versions should have been on the same cart, basically. Relatively late in the day, like I've collected how many games? Maybe nearly a couple of hundred. And I finally get World Soccer. Yeah. I did not target these games because you would get them in bundles with other things, I figured. Or if they were the last games, they're easy to find. And the same goes for World Grand Prix. Didn't target it, got it in a bundle. Now, this one. This is an interesting one, or at least it is to me. It's basically Mahjong. And of course, it's Mark III. And why did I get this? Because there is a European cart release of this game I think it came out in Hong Kong or something like that. One of the rarest, Western style carts that is probably properly licensed, unlike, say, 4-pack All Action. Yeah, I didn't want to get that, so I said, I'll get the Mark III version instead. Not like I'm going to play either version. Now we have an interesting one. Often considered one of the worst games on the system. It is Alf. Yeah. It's not a great game, but this is in pretty good nick. It's a US exclusive, and I got this thankfully in a trade. So I think I did like a repro or something for someone, so it cost nothing. We have Xenon 2 with the Virgin cover. We have another couple of classics. We have Wonder Boy in Monster World. I think I'm missing the manual, but of course I have the manual from my original copy when I was a kid. And we have Wimbledon classic release. Yep. That one does have its manual. And this is just a sealed version of Super Kickoff. Not too sure I have that one there. We have Star Wars, the Kicks version. I don't have, just like Incredible Hulk, I don't think I have the non-Kicks. Whoops. The non-Kicks version. And we're going to try and move through these. Speedball. That's the ImageWorks version. Outrun, Europa. The US Gold version, that's the variant. Master of Darkness. I don't think I have the manual of this one. I just want to open. Oh, I do. That's the variant of that. Pat Riley. Homebrew. Then we have Wanted. That's it. Ninja Bear did a video on that. That's a really, really good Light Phaser game. Another Homebrew Frogger. Nice little port of the Game Gear game. We have Parlor Games. I think I picked up this for like a $5 locally. We have another Tecto game. Gamebox, Sporties, or Radica, or something like that. Yeah, Radica. So basically, it's some of the events, just some of the events from California Games. Yeah, they make it seem like two games in one when it's very much not. We have a few more variants. We have the Autofence and the Flash. Yeah, they're complete. They are. Both of these are in good nick, although there's a bit of fading on the Flash spine, which happens a lot with those classic games, the brown box games, as they're known. We have another brown box one. There's their Speed Trap. I actually have a spare copy of that. And we have Renegade. I actually really like this game. This is, I to be honest, I enjoy this more than Double Dragon, believe it or not. We have well, this one came with Air Rescue in a bundle that was very cheap. I only recently discovered how much fun this is as part of the Master System Challenge. This is really, really good game. Like, the graphics are incredible. I really enjoy it. And we have by far and away the hardest Sega card game to find. Well, unless you count some of the very limited kind of hang-on things, like the red one. This, as a standard release, is very hard. This is the German version I got. It's all complete in there. But yeah, this again would have been up on the more expensive end, like something like 50. So that is half of 2012. I'm going to get the rest now. So here we have the rest of 2012, which starts off with Super Tennis. Yeah, 2012, isn't it? With Super Tennis. Again, I left some of these super common ones late in the collection. And Populous, same reason. Olympic Gold, same reason. This one is a little trickier to find. A US Gold with a different box format. It's a Dungeons and Dragons game. It's not great. But not that hard to find, really. Similarly, Golf Mania is not that hard to find. I have, by this point, knocked off most, but not all of the big hitters. Batman Returns. Yeah, again, pretty common game. I like the box art, so the Autofans. Funny enough, I got this again after the classic version, I think. Although I don't know which one I've shown already. I think this was like €6 locally. We have Wimbledon. So as I said, like, you know, some of the common stuff that I just hadn't managed to pick up. We have Gain Ground. This is a solid port. Yeah, the graphics are a bit rough, but the graphics are a bit rough on the Mega Drive version. But yeah, it's a decent game. And I got these as part of the bundle, including stuff like the Kicks Winter Olympics. I am missing the manual for that one, so someday I do want to pick up another manual. It's the same manual, so you can just use any manual for Winter Olympics. The Terminator, another reasonably common one. The Cyber Shinobi. Now, of course, I actually had the chance to get this back in the day. I passed it up. It took a long time, most of the collection, before I would finally pick up a copy. It looks great in the pictures, you know. Oh, it's the Shinobi. But, yeah. Your attack with the sword is so weird. It looks like you're trying to, you know, throw salt on people instead of actually cut them down with a big sword. Rainbow Islands. Pretty solid port of the game again. We've got this sticker part thing. Nice, you know, condition. An early one, probably a little harder to find, I found, than the card game. Although the card is more desirable. It's Ghost House. It's a good game though. World Games, another slightly tricky sports title, but you know, it's your typical epic sports game, mini game compilation. Zillion 2. This was tough to find. So I think this is a US version, I'm not sure. But yeah, I struggled to find Zillion for a long time. And we have Tennis Ace, another reasonably easy to pick up sports title. Submarine Attack. My spine's not in the best nick. This is a very good shooting game. A little bit of writing on the thing. What is it? Sega Swap Club from rugby. So apparently this was part of some sort of rental system in rugby. Good game though. Now we have a nice variant. Of course, this looks like a Mega Drive game. It's Bomber Raid, the US Activision version. We have a Classics version. I do have the manual. So yeah, Classics version of Batman. As I said, I'm missing one. I'm missing Classics version of Robocop vs. Terminator. But that one's very hard. This is another very hard game to find. It's a very good port of King's Quest, Quest for the Crown. It's another Parker Brothers game. I got this from Chris Kohler, believe it or not, at the Classic Gaming Expo in 2012, I think. And yeah, I got it for £25. And we have another RPG, East, The Vanished Omens. Can't remember if this is US or PAL, but I'm digging through it. Not easy to find either. Fantasy Zone 2. This is European. Ooh, manual wants to fall away. Solid follow-up to the first one. Bomber Raid. I thought I'd shown Bomber Raid. I guess I haven't. So here's the European version of Bomber Raid with the white box. And what it looks like, my final Sega card game, Bank Panic. So we've seen the card earlier. It looks like a shooting game, but it's not. It's falling out of its housing as normal. This is a tough one to find. The light phaser required version of Assault City. As I mentioned, there should have been one version, not two versions. It's this version is look. It's so new. Like the sticker still looks like it's not been opened. Great condition. Aerial Assault. We're getting near the end now. So good condition. Decent shoot 'em up. Wouldn't put it in my kind of top 3 or 4 though. And then we have Adam's Family. This is a pretty solid platformer. Character and stuff is in good nick. I am curious now. What did I think that wasn't too bad. Like, it was about a tenner, and that is all that I know definitely came up in that year. And there were other games, but like the with T2, the stack that's there, I just don't know exactly when I got them. I think I probably got them in some cross between 2011 and 2012. The last few games, by the way, were all tenner, so you can see the price was already starting to go up. This one here, I picked up locally for a $5. It is unfortunately missing the manual, but at a $5, I wasn't going to say no because that one's hard to find. Another local $5, that was Smash TV. You really kind of need your dual control for this. Cart version of Spy vs. Spy. Again, all of these games are about a $5. Shanghai. In fact, actually, Spy vs. Spy was something on eBay. The other ones were all local. Bit of writing on that, but other than that, it was fine. Whenever I see them locally, you know, I always kind of tended to go for them because, you know, it's hard and you don't have to worry about shipping and all that sort of stuff. So these are all local pickups. This was a good pickup actually for a $5. Chuck Rock 2. It's a little uncommon, and you have the plain thing, no grid, which is very unusual. And casino games. Yeah. Kind of a funny one to end that block on. Anyway, that brings us past 2010, 2011, 2012, and we're on to 2013. So, we're now really near the end. This is 2013 and 2014 together. But what it actually really says is, I'm into the final 10. I have, like, obviously I've been picking up variants on other regions and all that sort of stuff, but into the core collection, I was down to 10, starting with Lord of the Sword. Another RPG, not the easiest thing. Karen wants to fall out. Not the easiest thing to find, but that was number 10 to go. Number 9 to go was Spellcaster. This one annoys me. I've had multiple versions around the time. I traded some and whatnot for other things, but every single one was in rough condition and didn't have a manual. This was the best one I had, and even it has a little bit of wear on the cart and no manual. So I would really love the manual to this someday. This is one that Gordon helped me with. Yeah, very hard to find. This one, I think, is also kind of going up in value. I think this is probably about 35 or 40. But yeah, you just at this point you're kind of like 10, 9, 8. It's tough to finish them off. Great volleyball. It's kind of funny that it was a great game in the final 10, but I kind of, as I said, didn't target them. Pretty good, Nick. And that's the European version. Now this next one, this one's a bit ropey condition. I would definitely replace this one if I one come on, because you'll see it's a bit damaged there. This was, believe it or not, I bought this on Amazon. No manual, so I took a chance on it. It wasn't that expensive, it was only a few quid, but yeah, I would definitely replace this at some point. And now we're into the bottom 5. And we have in number 5, Psychic World. So this was, as I said, I just did not see a complete copy of this forever. Looked interesting from back in the day. I've never been able to get into it, so maybe someday I'll maybe say Get Ape a Challenge or something like that. We'll get a chance to get into this. And that was 2013. So at the end of 2013, it was down to 4. In 2014, in fact, Psychic World came from Amazon and Scrambled Spirits came from Amazon. So it actually changed. I was looking at Amazon for some of these things. This was the only game I got in 2014. And yeah, I think it's in decent nick, actually. Yeah, it is. So out of the 3 I got from Amazon, 2 of them came out in pretty good nick. And that was 2014. Very small year. But then the numbers were down. And that really ends the 2000s. So I have a whole bunch of stack of games, blah, 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 blah. Made a mess of the place. But basically, that's the 2000s. And I exited that decade. I didn't find... So from 2015 onwards, I didn't pick up a single Master System game. I picked up other stuff, but not Master System. I was down to 3 games, and they were going to be hard to get. But that's for another decade. So to wrap things up, we're getting into the 2020s. Decade 4. The pile is low. There's only 3 titles, but you know, when you get to the end of a collection, the titles get hard to find. First up was end of last year, RoboCop 3. Got this from Germany. This was one that escaped me for quite a while. Still managed to get it for pretty good prices. Certainly in this day and age, I was pretty pleased with it. But yeah, I like the box art. It's also a bit of an unusual box art, but a very challenging one to find, and kicking myself when I missed out on it from like 15 quid years ago. Early this year, we have what for many might have been the kind of like end point. The Smurfs Travel the World. This one is obviously uncommon, but is more that it is expensive rather than rare today, because it's pretty frequently available on eBay to purchase. You're just not going to find it in the wild. Questions, of course, did it get a full, you know, European-wide retail rate? It probably didn't. There's very little evidence to support that it did, but it certainly did get a release, which is why I wanted it in my set. And then finally, as this video is all about, the missing piece of the puzzle, Buggy Run. You challenging little game. In 1991, there's no way I would have said, oh yes, this little RC style racing game, that's going to be the last game that I'm looking for to pick up for my set in 30 years time. But hey, that's the way it ended up being. To be honest, they're decent enough games. Well, actually, I'm not too sure about RoboCop 3. Smurfs is decent. Buggy Run is decent from the little bit I played. And they're there. What makes me think, what I think now is, I wonder where I'm going for the rest of the decade, and what decade number 5 might bring to the Master System. Who knows? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this journey through my kind of Master System collection spread over 4 decades, and gives me something to look forward to for the future. Take care. And